the Rakuyou Decisive battle arc. This arc surprised me a lot from how much was in it. The story, characters, and what it was trying to set up for the last arc of the series was done very well. It was hype, shocking, heartbreaking, and overall gave me an amazing experience when watching this great arc. Today I'll be giving my quick thoughts on it as some people had wanted me to, but I'll also tell you for now that I've started Silver Soul, and so far I'm enjoying it. Today though, let's talk about Rakuyou. But right before I get into this, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and follow my Twitter down below to get updates on my Gintama watch. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Coming into this arc, I was expecting a lot of Kagura and Kamui material as I had seen multiple things suggesting this when watching the opening. And by the way, the opening was too hype. I love it. It's easily one of my favorites. Back to the topic though. Well, I did get a lot of that stuff. I got way more as well that just blew me away. Not saying Kagura, Kamui, or any of the Yatos weren't the highlights of the arc, but seriously, this arc gave us so much stuff for certain characters that made me excited the whole way. We got Utsuro going ape mode on a literal ape, Sakamoto and Nobunobu teaming up, and Nobunobu actually starting to slowly become a good character. We also saw the whole reunion of the four legends, them fighting together side by side was just the embodiment of literal hype. Like, how can't you be throwing your hands around when watching this scene? The way this arc was set up to give each character the spotlight at the start was pretty cool, and even though I wouldn't say it's unique, it was done in a way that made me care for each character that had their big load of screen time in the episode, especially Utsuro like I said before. The overall rise of the new antagonist Utsuro was pretty exciting, and seeing his backstory later on was a real treat, but I'll talk about that later. For now, let's talk about one of the main aspects that made this arc really well done and was really the highlight of this section of Gintama. Kagura's backstory was pretty hidden from us, but the series made sure to give us some hints down the line on some things that had happened in her past. Umibozu getting his arm ripped off by his own son, that one son leaving the family behind, and Kagura being left behind on Rakuyou by herself. This had all been left out for us before we actually see what had happened in this past. What shocked me though was how we actually got some of Umibozu's past as well, which was really cool, and some bits about the Altana were there for us to know how exactly Utsuro is so overpowered. But the main thing is that we find out about who Kagura and Kamui's mother is, how exactly Umibozu met her, and what had happened after that. Seeing the whole thing progress onto the part of where Koka slowly starts dying and Kamui's mind going wild was some compelling stuff that made me really interested in each episode of the backstory. Also, we kind of get to understand how Kamui became who he is and why he's so addicted to fighting strong opponents, which was really great to know because Kamui's character was kind of vague other than Kagura saying at times that he's just hiding his weakness because of their mother's death. So the backstory was pretty good, laying out the reasons about why Kamui became who he is. And it only got better from there after the backstory, with Kagura going up against Kamui again, finishing off their fight from last time. And this fight right here, this is the one that blew me away in this arc. Best fight in season 5 easily. Umibozu, Kagura, Kamui, all of them were amazing in this fight, as well as Oboro, and I actually liked Oboro's character ever since Yoshiwari and Flames, so it was great to see him in this fight and as well in the backstory as well. Seeing Yorizuya team up against the main threat and none of them standing down, even if they're going up against someone who is literally from the strongest race in Gintama, was really hype, and Gintoki and Shinpachi are humans as well, so seeing their resolve was amazing. I loved that. The ending of the whole fight was what blew me away as well. Man, that was really something that I hoped for in the conclusion of this fight, and I got it. Kamui's true character had been shown, and with a soft smile, he finally got defeated, finally giving him and the rest of the family a rest from all the bloodshed. Gintama episode 326 was a really memorable episode that got me so emotionally invested into the characters in a way that made me heavily appreciate their character arc's final conclusion. Some great stuff happened around Kagura, Kamui, and Umibozu in this arc, and you can truly call it their arc. But there's someone else that I can talk about for a short while about how much I quickly started to like the character in somewhat way. Oboro was someone who interested me a lot, especially what his past with Utsuro actually was, because as he said before, he was the first student of Shoyo. But Oboro finally got it. His past had been revealed, and his really sad death after that was another thing that got me having tears ever since what had happened to Utsuro. I love the clues that had been put out for Oboro's past before this episode, and the way the backstory itself was written was done pretty well. More insight on Oboro's character got me highly invested into him, and seeing his loyalty to Shoyo was sad as he had to later on separate from his master. From this, his life would be shrouded in loneliness, and of course he would want to see Shoyo again as he had been looking for him multiple times. But when he does eventually find his old master, jealousy erupts from inside of him when viewing the students that Shoyo had gotten over the years. An understandable jealousy that had been built up from his years of loneliness, but he does a pretty selfish thing after that and leaks the whereabouts of Shoyo's school to capture him in hopes his teacher would come back to him. But Shoyo doesn't come back, Utsuro does. And now Oboro would show his loyalty to the one who had originally saved him from death. Oboro's death was really emotional for me as he had been looking back on his past choices and figuring out if he had chosen another decision. Like leaving the Naruku and joining Shoyo's school when he had the chance to was sad, and seeing Takasugi respect him in the end as Oboro is his senior was some really good stuff. Oh, and yeah, Takasugi's reappearance was completely fire. The reunion and him versing Oboro got me loving his character once again ever since the Shogun assassination arc. Now the final episode of this arc was really something. I did not expect to see Utsuro getting a backstory already, and when I saw it, I was really surprised. I really did not predict any of this to happen, so seeing this episode was shocking. Gaining some insight on the relationship of Shoyo and Utsuro was really needed, and seeing how exactly Utsuro came to be after Shoyo's supposed death was something I really wanted to know about, as Utsuro had brought up that he was the one who killed Shoyo and not Gintoki. Also, seeing his character get explored as we find out about his future motives was some of the most thrilling stuff I'd seen in this anime. The whole plan he has and how he wants to die was intriguing, and seeing it get explored in this episode in some ways was nice. I'm hoping that's not all though, as I'm expecting some pretty big stuff from him in Silver Soul, as after all this information had been dropped, there better be some things following after that. But I bet, I just bet, I'm still gonna be blown away in this arc because, once again, it's Gintama. I'm gonna be shocked either way. So that's why I'm gonna end it off for today. Hopefully you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to comment some more video ideas for the channel. And of course some of them can be Gintama ideas. I'm also thinking of making a Gintoki character analysis in the future after I finish Gintama, as he's really a top 1 protagonist. So get ready for that. It's gonna be kind of like my Eren and Araragi video, so a pretty long one. But like always, subscribe if you haven't, hit the like button, turn on bell notifications, and follow my Twitter down below. It's been Endless Requiem, peace.